Hi, friends. Well, we have another victory episode of TDS Film Room coming up. TDS Film Room sponsored by Matrix Hormones. That's Matrix Hormones at 813-333-2226. Feeling a little down? Feeling a little out? Want to kind of get back into what you were when you were growing up? Call Matrix Hormones. They'll do your blood work. They'll get what you need. We'll get you back to feeling younger, stronger, healthier, and feeling a better lifestyle. Much like the game that we saw this past Saturday. So, do you guys want to talk about that win versus ECU?
Wow, what a segue. That was incredible. Good.
I thought about this for the last 5 seconds, man.
Perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful. It looked like USF, they got their matrix hormone. They went and they figured out what was wrong, and my God, did they fix it. Well, after the first 15 seconds, they fixed it. But yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of what, if you read my preview, it's kind of what I thought should hopefully happen, and they played pretty well, and they had some cool scheme stuff that they hadn't shown throughout the year that they did in this game that we're going to take a look at and kind of see how they scored all those points and made some big plays on defense. So, you guys ready to fire it up?
Let's go.
Let's rev those engines, boys.
Alrighty.
So, how about those helmet decals?
Those are winners. What can you say?
They won
2-0.
2-0. I think we got to stick with it.
I think they're averaging over 40 points in these helmets. I mean, that's probably what it is, right?
Yeah,
Sabermetrics. Call of Duty got released. We won the game.
There you go. Maybe they'll release an expansion pack later on, and we can keep piling up the W's. All right, so ECU was a 4-3 team. If you read the preview, we talked about ECU being a 4-3 team, a lot of cover 3. So USF comes out 11 personnel. They're going to motion the back out of the backfield here and run quarterback counter. We'll let it run, and then we'll go back and look at it. This is on the first drive of the game here. All right, so here's the corner. Here's one safety, corner, the other safety. We got linebackers, right? Linebackers. So, and then our 40 linemen here. So there's everybody on defense. You see they've shifted the safety over to the 3 receiver side. It's really a 4 receiver side with the back. So they've kind of shifted the strength over here. So you see the safeties kind of shifted to this side. There's nobody in the middle of the field. All you have backside is the corner. So kind of using this alignment and then the motion, they're going to influence this linebacker and the safety out of the play, and they're going to pull people for these 2 linebackers here. There's the motion. You see they kind of bounce with it a little bit here, but on the snap, he's going to fly out. You have the guard and the tight end pulling, and then you got a big hole there. So let's kind of go back. Slow it down a little bit.
Huge hole, no hesitation. There's a lot of confidence there.
So on this side, we're going to be kind of down. I think he's going to step inside and hinge. You have the guard pulling and kicking out the first thing, or kind of he ends up logging him. He's wrapping around. The quarterback will look to the motion here and then follow the blockers. So we're watching slow motion here. Good job by these 2 on the down block. They cut him loose, the end here. The quarterback is kind of almost reading him, and he can really look out here. If he has the numbers, he could throw this out here, but the numbers are pretty equal, so he keeps it. And you see right here, you're getting play out of him to the motion. So he just took himself out of the play. Back it up here. This tackle is his rules inside, so he's inside tracking right for this linebacker. The guard does a good job right here on a down block. He is. I pointed this out in the preview. They didn't do a great job taking on pulling linemen. They gave up a big play on a similar kind of scheme against North Carolina State where the guy tried to duck around the block. He kind of does the same thing here, and the guard just swallows him up. The tackle right here does a great job, and then you got Wilcox coming here to lead on the only linebacker left, and that creates a gigantic hole. And for somebody that seemed like they were so hurt last week, McLeod looked pretty good on Saturday.
I will say, I think very early on in the season, we, thinking back to the first film rooms that we did, we kind of noted how much the offensive line was struggling. And it's really, really evident these last few weeks that Bell and Darboux have both really figured out a good blocking scheme that consistently works. And, I think it's no coincidence that the more motion that this athletic offensive line is able to utilize to get as many blockers out into the open space as possible really, really pays its own dividends.
Yeah. And this isn't stuff that this isn't like a lot of the schemes and stuff aren't really like, it's some of the stuff they were doing before, but they're sprinkling it in. And I think they've kind of picked it up at this point of the year. So now they're just executing at a much higher level. I mean, this is really good up front, and there's just a gigantic hole there. So that's 2nd and 10 for a big run. This is a 3rd and short on the same drive. This is something they did that really puts you in a bind if you want to stay kind of forefront, which they did. So this is one tight end here. And here's the other tight end. So a lot of times when you are going double tight, you'll kind of even up the formation. You'll have a receiver here, kind of on the tight end side, and one receiver here on the other tight end side. This is a really tough formation to defend because, first of all, not many people are running 12 personnel. It's starting to cycle back, but not many people are running it. But if you want to run with 4 down linemen here, you got to bring somebody out over top of number 2. So now we have 2 receivers out here. If you leave this guy uncovered, we'll throw the ball to him. So you got to cover him up. So that takes a guy out of the box. You have the corner here for him. This is your other corner here. You have a linebacker up on the line of scrimmage outside the tight end, but you notice you don't really have a force player up here outside the tight end. And then that leaves 2 linebackers left in the box. So right here, if you just count numbers, USF has 7 guys on the line of scrimmage right here, and then the 2 in the backfield. So 9 potential, because you can use the quarterback or the running back to block, right? So you got 9 guys, and with the quarterback run game, you can even up the numbers. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. What USF does, and what they kind of do throughout the game, is they give themselves an even bigger advantage by not blocking one of these guys and reading them. So now it's really like 9 on 7 or 8 on 6, right? So they're just going to run zone read here, but they do it different ways throughout the game. But this is a formation that gives a lot of trouble. There's nobody forcing the tight end out here, right? So he's going to arc. Then everybody else can run inside zone. Since we're reading this guy, I can climb to the 2nd level. We can kind of double team that. There. And everybody else is kind of hat on a hat. And you see the tackle get to the 2nd level and kind of swallow up this linebacker. So now we'll go through it kind of slow. This is something that gave them trouble all night, is this. When the tight end released, they're kind of treated it when he arced. So this is just a different type of block, an arc block. So I'm going to arc around the defensive end to the 2nd level. It's just like in a little arcing pattern, right? That gave them a lot of problems because they thought it was pass. ECU did. When they saw the tight end arc, they kind of treated it as pass. So see, like right here, he's backpedaling, right? This corner's backpedaling. He's not attacking this block, and that happened to them all night. That's kind of a new wrinkle they debuted. He's coming to fill here, and you see this tackle right here is getting to the 2nd level. And he's just going to, if you watch right here, he just swallows this guy up. The back does a great job finding the hole. And the person that ends up making the tackle is actually a defensive lineman that got no penetration right here. He ends up running back to make the tackle because Cronkite actually kills the safety right here and is going to run by him and ends up being a defensive tackle just running back when he has to cut back. But if not for that guy's hustle, that would have been a touchdown right there. And it's really this wrinkle here kind of opens it up and lets guys get to the second level. And they do a really good job blocking it. I mean, there's your center right there on the other linebacker. I mean, it's just really well done. And this is just zone, which they had so many problems with earlier in the year. And so now you're seeing how it's kind of starting to, they've gotten comfortable with it and it's starting to pay off.
Oh, that's insane.
Even seemed like he squirted out of there and was a little surprised.
Yeah. So then this is a few plays later, or this may even be the next play. First and goal, same formation, and you can kind of get a better look of it here. They really had problems defending this. On third and short, they brought a guy up here. They don't do that on this third down. Or, I'm sorry, this first down. They kind of leave him back. It's first and goal from the 5, so they drop him back. There's no really outside threat. He's kind of on the tight ends, maybe head up right here. So you have the edges kind of just with how they lined up. I don't think they really expected to see this look. This isn't something that USF showed a ton. I don't think they showed this formation specifically very many times at all. So this is a look that kind of gave them some problems. So we'll watch the play here. Right, so this is where we talked last week. Everyone's kind of, where's Wilcox's targets? Where's Wilcox's targets? Well, he's going to arc block here. Just watch what happens to him. And then we'll kind of break down the play. But he's going to arc block here. He basically gets 2 guys. This safety flies right to him. He's kind of holds up with him, and by the time he sees it's a run, it's too late.
They all have a target on 89, so
yeah.
that opens that up.
So they used him like that, using that arc block and how they arc the tight end a lot in the game, especially when it was Wilcox. Those guys flew to him, and this just opened up huge running lanes. Just by using him as almost a decoy, but he still, was involved in the play. So here, all that's going to happen here is he's going to arc. He's going to arc. He's almost going to pass set. This is basically the same play you saw against South Carolina State, kind of the same look. He's going to pass set, invite this guy upfield. All right. Then you're going to get, I think we called it dart. So you're going to get down block, arc him so you could read this guy. Down block, down block. I'm sorry, he's going to set, down block, down block. So if these two fill, you got the puller for him. And then one of these two for this backer here. Watch the slow motion. Good down blocks. He's invited upfield. There's one down block there, one down block there. He's being read. This linebacker is coming to fill, but you got your center just waiting on him. This linebacker's coming to fill, but he's got this big old tackle coming for him. He's watching Wilcox. He's watching Wilcox. He's going to get blocked by Mathis. The linebacker gets eaten up. Good hard run for the first touchdown.
So, Seth, question.
Yes.
Did ECU purposely have 2 guys trying to cover Wilcox? Or was that a miscommunication by the 2 safeties there? Or is Wilcox that much of a threat?
It's possible they doubled him. It's possible he just saw the arc and thought, maybe he was going to try to slip it like they've done in the past where they show this play action and they slip him.
Mm-hmm.
So he ran to Wilcox. I don't know. I mean, they're playing man up top. I would assume this would be man coverage down the goal line.
That's what I was thinking.
I would assume he has him. He has him. these two are for the back, and maybe he's over the top. But there's a lot of different coverages, people playing the goal line that kind of mix things up. But I don't know. I think he may have just been like, okay, we'll definitely man this up here, and then I can help to the 3 receiver side. That might have been it. But either way, it's because I think it's because of him. It's because you got Wilcox over there. He's going to draw some attention. And then if you know that, you can use it to your advantage.
We've gotten this question a few times from some others. How can you tell if something is an RPO or an option, and how can you tell if that was a designed run?
If you can look on RPO stuff, right? So the big difference between play action and RPO is you can kind of look at the linemen. If the linemen are going downfield and just executing a run play, you're probably an RPO. So that means the quarterback has the option to pull it. So for instance here, they could have been running this play and had, Wilcox run like, something just like a hook in there, and if this guy failed, I could throw it. So the line would look just like they do now, except right now he'd start running the slant and he could pull it and throw it in there. With play action, they're going to give the appearance of run with they'll come off the ball like it's a run play, but they won't be getting downfield. So if you see one of these guys get 3 or 4 yards downfield, it's probably was called run and the quarterback pulled it. If you see them kind of come off the ball really hard and then kind of drop back or kind of stay at the line of scrimmage, then it was probably a play action pass. I don't know with regards to whether or not it's a read. I'm assuming with guys like McLeod at quarterback, you can tag reads on a lot of different stuff. Anytime you're pulling the tackle backside or you're running zone, it's almost a read every time. Typically, it doesn't have to be if that guy's not athletic, but with the guys they have there, they probably just tag it on the backside of a lot of their runs. That gives them one less guy to block, and if the defense doesn't play sound, then they can get out of there and make a big play. So,
perfect.
We got a little bit on defense here. So this is one. It's 3rd and 13. Very next drive, USF has showed a bunch of. They've showed pressure looks. They've showed all kinds of stuff. So here they're able to get pressure with 4 just by playing a game up front. So what they're going to do, they're just going to run a tackle into exchange. He's going to try to go through the guard and tackle here, and you'll get a wraparound. And the same thing here. Try to go through the guard and tackle here. He's going to try to set him up like he's rushing outside and then wrap back around. Again, this isn't something that's like mind-blowing, and these guys show blitz and then drop into coverage. But it's just they do a really good job executing it and get a lot of pressure up in this quarterback's face really quickly. If you watch the guys up front, especially watch how these ends kind of set it up first and then jump back inside. Set them up and then jump back inside, and then these guys just push the pile and almost squeeze out, actually. And then behind it, you're just playing coverage. So he's running for his life. Tries to lower the shoulder here and actually fumbles. And the defense gets off the field. So that's something just simple, but it's not, you're playing zone coverage, but you're not just playing basic zone where I'm just going to rush the passer. You're doing something, you're adding a little flavor to it with this movement up front, kind of understanding how their pass protection scheme works so you can get them to maybe slide and maybe crease one of those. And they ended up doing such a good job, they kind of just pushed the pocket back in his lap, and he had to get out of there. That's one that's just kind of a simple thing to do, but that's just kind of adding extra flavor to your base defense.
And that's less than 3 seconds before he starts getting freaked out.
Yeah, we can put him on the clock here. Let's see when they snap. And now he's got to do all these checks because they're showing like a 7-man pressure and they backed out of it.
The play clock's winding down.
And so he snaps it at 7:10. And he's already taken off by 7:08. So they got there quick. They did a really good job with the scheme. And just something simple they added to it. So here's another kind of example
Jeez.
of the Wilcox of it all. He's going to arc block. I think it's the same exact play he scored on, right? He's going to invite him upfield. He's pulling around. You got down blocks here, down block there, but right here and right here both play Wilcox. We'll let it run. Great cut by the back.
Man, he could have cut to his left and still done that.
Yeah. So this is really well done here. That's what, yeah, he could have followed him right through there, but he did a good job. He attacked it. You see they're double teaming back. This is like a perfect double team. When you double team the guy almost back into the lap of the linebacker. Mm-hmm. And then this is something he does a pretty good job of, Cronkite, is when he'll, even on the pull plays, if he kind of sees the whole backside, there's been a few times this year where he just hit it and gets vertical and makes a pretty big play. And he's been running really, really well the last month.
I mean, that's a good step, and then turn on the jets.
Yes.
Like that's...
This is how you're talking about get vertical. And then here, does he actually have to touch either one of these guys? So where are Mitchell Wilcox's targets? Well, he actually blocks two people. Like, this is like Jedi blocking. He doesn't actually touch anyone. It's like using the Force here.
That's going to feel really good, too, knowing that I could just get out in the – I mean, he gets a push in there, but he could just get out in open space, and they got to pay attention to him.
I think
look, he's the first guy to he's the first guy to gas Kronk up too. Like it looks like he's having fun doing it.
Oh, he could literally just walk to the sidelines and they'll just follow him there.
Yeah, so if you're wondering why his targets why he's not getting 10 targets a game, well, even on run plays they're double teaming him. So they're figuring out ways to try to get him the ball, and I know he caught a couple in the flat and was able to turn up and make a really good play. Well, they're not gonna make it easy on him. So now you've run. So now you catch them right here in kind of a blitz look. So I'm not sure what they're doing. They're kind of messed up. So maybe this is a problem with tempo because I don't know what this is all about. But so it looks like man coverage there.
Classic ECU.
So it looks just like the previous plays. I'm going to pull. I'm selling run. He's in flying upfield. He's coming to play over the top of the run, and then I just slip it down the seam.
Oh, it's
for an easy touchdown. And this 37, if you watch any of the Navy preview, 37 for ECU bit up on. He's the guy that got killed on the play action plays for Navy, so he gets nosy in the run game. So they have a pretty good idea of that, and they catch him in a blitz here. And it's just easy.
That's great decision making too. I remember you pointed out last week that there was some tentativeness to him throwing the ball. That was right on. Like he might have waited a little bit longer. Maybe that means he gets bottled up. But that was right on. He knew that once he slipped past the line, that's where he was going to go.
Yeah, this is great. So this is something so this makes sense. I just don't know why he's so deep now. This is something that I had a coach used to call it piggybacking. And what piggybacking is you'll see a lot of times you'll see a guy is playing the slot. And then if you see the safety roll over top of him, our coach would call it piggybacking because he said if this safety's rolling over the top that tight, he's probably going to blitz and the safety's going to take his spot. So that's kind of what this was. It looked kind of crazy out there. Now they're blitzing from depth, which,
that's a really good idea. Blitzing from, that's what he's got to run 15 yards in 2 seconds.
Now, they're hoping. I think if it was a drop back, drop back pass, then maybe he gets home because he's pretty fast. But yeah, quick throw, he's still 6 yards away. So you kind of catch him in one there. They try to bring pressure, and this could be where they're going to bring pressure in this situation. So you dial this one up, and a really good route by Mathis right there. And maybe if that's Wilcox on the field, they triple team him so that guy's not so wide open. But I don't know. But either way, he was wide open there. So another good kind of taking advantage, catch him in the look here. And yeah, like you said, Vito, really good, quick decision making there by Jordan. So we don't catch the very beginning of this one, but this is pretty much the same thing from the first play with McLeod, except now we have Jacquez Evans in there. So here's the back has gone in motion. Here's the receiver coming out to block. Safety or linebackers coming out here. It's hard to say. I think it's a safety. Corners off deep. Again, you have down blocks here. He's able to get to the second level. You're pulling, looks like the guard to kick. Tight end to wrap is the same thing from the first play with McLeod, except this guy is really explosive. I don't know if you got to see these runs yet, Vito, but
Oh, jeez.
he's very fast. So with some of the problems we've seen kind of with explosiveness as a receiver, you see why he might have got moved there, but he's done a really good job with these Wildcat runs. And I know he had a couple against Georgia Tech earlier in the year, like a 9-yard run on one of them. And they've kind of used it throughout the year, but this might be something that we see more just because he's really explosive.
And he makes a guy miss right there.
Yeah.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
this is a really good job. That's something we've talked about, right? If you can make the safety miss, there's a big play. He makes the linebacker miss. Good job here, and then Wilcox does a really good job here too. And he does a really good job reading the blocks here. So this guy tries to go inside. He kind of logs him, maybe a holding, whatever. They didn't call it. Then this guy doesn't fill as quick. A safety or another linebacker comes up and fill, and Wilcox does a great job blocking. Like you said, makes a guy miss there. And if you can make one guy miss, now you got a shot at a big play. And he is exceptionally fast.
And
So
again,
again,
hit
Good
job blocking.
quarterback.
Yes, good job blocking, make one guy miss, and that's what you got. You got a big play right there.
I have
That's
a
why
feeling there's a place somewhere in Bell's playbook where that is just Jacquez just dials one deep. Like there's no way that he played quarterback for 3 years. There's got to be a play for him to throw on a play action for that.
So this is where blitzing from depth might help you. It's not so good in like 2nd and 5, but if it's 3rd and 18, then blitzing from depth might give you something. So here, USF is going to bring a blitz from depth. This is Macon, I believe, is going to take the outside rush lane to get the tackle to open up. Here, we're going to go inside. I think we got a slant here. So I'm trying to take this guard's eyes to me. If I'm this tackle right here, get the guard's eyes. And then this is Bentley Sanders is going to come in late into this void that's been created. Hit the quarterback in what was called an interception on the field. I think they overturned it. And you also have Greg Reeves adding in there too. So right here, eyes come to me, and then he's adding into here too to get this eyes. And now I'm coming late from depth, and now I got a huge lane to run through. And if the tackle wants to come over here, then Macon's got a free rush. So it gets just enough. This was called a pick on the field. I think they overturned it. But, again, good scheme. Knowing they're probably going to have to drop back. Right? You either drop, they might, you drop back on 3rd and 18. You're probably going to have to get some depth on your drop so you can bring a blitz from depth on this. Whereas ECU got caught in a blitz from depth and kind of a different down and distance. So again, that was a design.
That was like 3rd and 4. So that's like he came
this
from
is
the
third,
first down marker.
Yeah, this is 3rd and 18. So
I was about to say, that's the big difference makers. Now, for a long developing pass play, you got to wait for your receivers to get 18 yards. You can blitz from distance.
Yes. So that's kind of a good call here. Another thing that blitzing does, because there's kind of two schools of thought about blitzing on third and longs or long downs. One thing can happen is, you sometimes you're like, I want to play coverage, make them complete something underneath and rally and tackle. But blitzing, you can kind of get the same idea if you drop back, because if you get there quickly enough, if you get home, they're going to have to get the ball in their hands very fast. and they're not going to be able to, like you said, to hit those routes further down the field. They're going to have to throw something short, and then you can still rally and tackle. Or you might get something like this where you get a piece of the ball, and what was called on the field was an interception, which I think they overturned, but
Yeah, they did.
I thought it was a little. I didn't think that was necessarily had to be overturned here. So back on offense here, 12 personnel again, tight end here, tight end here. Again, they still have not quite figured out how they want to play. They're playing a little bit differently now. They've got a linebacker up here. Here's a safety. Now you're also inside the 20, so you could be getting some different stuff. But here's your corner, here's your safety, corner, safety. You got a linebacker walked up outside Wilcox here. Because I'm guessing they're calling this the strength because it's a 3-receiver side. But if you notice, I think USF has been putting this into the boundary a few times. So that's another thing that gives defensive problems is, okay, now I have a lot of field over here to work with, right? But I don't have as many guys. So how am I going to play? Am I going to play the field as the strength? So I have more defenders to the field, or am I going to go where their defenders can match up with the offensive players, which would be into the boundary, even though it's the shorter side of the field?
Can you tell
Yeah.
our folks at home who aren't as knowledgeable what the term the boundary means?
Yeah, so into the sideline here, the out of bounds line, the boundary line of the field. So on the hash, right, to the short side of the field. So when the ball is in college, you have a really short side and a really wide side of the field when your ball's on the hash. So the hash is right here. So this side is a lot shorter. So you could call it the short side of the field or the boundary side. From out here, you can see it's a lot wider. Not only do you have from the hash side on this side, but you also have in between the hashes, so we call that the field side. So when somebody puts the formation into the boundary, or the strength of their formation into the boundary, it puts the defense in a bind a lot of times because they have to figure out, do I match up and call that the strength, or do I call the field the strength? Because most people call the strength of the field. So most people put 3 receivers, they're going to 3 receivers to the field because there's more room to operate.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of defensive coordinators will actually consider the boundary like basically another defender.
Yeah, so it's hard to kind of figure out, do I want to play it like that and then give up the field, or do I want to basically say, okay, have whatever you want in the boundary, we can rally and tackle you and use the boundary, like you said, as the 12th defender and just push you out of bounds. So that's one of the things you'll see a lot happening now is people putting formation in the boundary, especially no huddle teams, because it's really hard to make that decision really quickly unless you've seen it a lot. And with this, I don't know how much they showed this, going fast and then putting the formation in the boundary. If they have seen it, they probably haven't seen it in the boundary, so they're just going to go match it however they think they should match it if it was to the field. So they're just going to go match it up on defense. And so you may be able to get them out here. And this is going to be a play action play. They're going to drop this safety back into like a deep third here. I think they're going to end up playing 3 functionally. So this tight end is going to run flat route. Wilcox is going to run our deep crosser. So this is pretty much the same play that was thrown at pick against SMU, I believe, right? It's smash. So you got your high loan over here. Then you also got him on a post route, rather. And then he's going to run I don't know if he has the read or not, but he ends up running the hitch. I don't know if it's a go, and he can convert it when the corner drops. But the play action is going to get the safety's eyes kind of looking in the backfield. Wilcox is going to cross his face. He's going to take Wilcox, which opens up the post back behind him. The corner tries to jump on top of it, but Jordan makes a really good throw, and then a really great catch here by St. Felix. So let's let it run here.
That was my first time actually seeing that catch.
Oh, it was
That was
you'll
high
see the
point.
slow. So you can see right here. He's going to the flat. He's getting 2 defenders following him to the flat. you can see Wilcox is coming across. The safety is jumping all over him. You can see him already starting. I've taught the quarterbacks in the past that you can look at a guy's upper body and kind of understand where they're going. It's hard to backpedal when your upper body is really far. You can kind of tell how are they leaning. If they're leaning this far forward, they're probably going to come up. So he's got him leaning, and he's going to take Wilcox here. And so he's the deep third safety, and he's going to jump up and take the crosser. That means there's space behind him for the post. That's what you see right here. This is the safety, kind of jumped over Wilcox. They kind of got muddied. I'm not sure what happened. I think he was probably supposed to go across his face, but it gets muddy. But there, it's kind of a little choppy there, but he skies up for the catch and comes down with it. And that's just because, again, where's the targets for Mitch Wilcox? Well, this was play probably designed for him, but he got somebody else wide open because the safety jumped him because he's such a big target and such a good player that he's getting a lot of attention.
And St. Felix really needed that. Maybe he could start getting into a rhythm now because he was plagued by a few drops recently.
And I think I put another one on here later just to kind of he makes another really good catch in traffic later. There wasn't much to the scheme on the play. It was just a go route, but he goes up and gets it and just put it on there because, he played awesome the other night.
That was a heck of a throw from McLeod, too.
Yes, and for a guy whose arm was falling off, I was told the week before, he looked really good. So here's the pick, I believe, the Gregory's interception. So let's let it run. 2nd and 14. No illegal
Good
blocks
for Greg
either.
Reeves.
So if we remember the SMU game, they ran a similar thing, right? We talked about Reeves drops back and they had no edge player. Do you guys remember that? And Bouchel just took off and ran and there was nobody there. So here's what I'm guessing the call was supposed to be, and it just wasn't executed in the game. So they're going to slant. And then I think they even bring pressure here. This may be something where they know the quarterback's got to throw hot. So if you bring more that they can block, the quarterback's got to, so every team has pass protection schemes. They've got 5 in here in the back. Depending on what the protection is, if they don't have enough guys to block everybody that's blitzing, the quarterback basically has to block him by throwing the ball to an uncovered receiver. So the quarterback's responsible for that extra guy in the box. So right here, I think he might think he's hot. He might think he's hot. He sees this, he thinks he's hot. But what USF has done is they kind of intentionally brought this maybe to make them hot, and then they dropped Reeves right to where they knew the hot route would go, is what I'm guessing the idea is. So they drop him right where the hot route's supposed to go. The quarterback throws the hot route, and Reeves is just sitting there waiting. He's kind of just coming, and this is really tough to see for a quarterback too, is a guy coming, if I'm looking over here in this area, a guy coming from this side underneath stuff, you're not really ever going to see that. It's really, really tough.
And it looks like the receiver, I think the receiver that I was throwing to probably misread the hot route as well, it looks like.
Yeah, because he turns
up. It looks like
yeah.
he turns upfield. Yeah.
He's looking for it right here, and then he turns up. The quarterback throws it, and Reeves is right there. So I think this is one where they manipulated them into going hot by understanding where they could overload their protection, and then they dropped the guy right for where their hot route was going to go.
That's like galaxy chess. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's what. So that's what I'm thinking. The idea was. Now sometimes you can just get into it, but he's kind of slyly making his way over there. And then also look, here's your quarterback player. So the quarterback's not going to take off on me again like Bouchel did. And then bang right to him. He drops right to the spot. So that's why a lot of those zone blitzes and things like that work. When you see the big guys get interceptions, a lot of times it's the quarterback sees a blitz, so he thinks he's going to throw hot, and he doesn't anticipate a lineman dropping back into coverage. So sometimes defensive guys will drop their linemen right back to where your hot throws are. If you're a team that throws hot a lot and they've seen it on film, or you're a team that always has some type of play in, like maybe a shallow or, some type of short crossing route, they'll drop a big guy underneath it. And a lot of times the quarterback will throw it right to him because he has no idea that guy's going to be there. And it's not like you're reading the defensive lineman or anything. So another really good scheme right there that killed an ECU drive. I mean, they're on the 17 here, driving in, second down. It's only a 2-score game. They drive and score here. It's a little different. But great call, great scheme. Gets a pick right there, and now I think they go down and score here shortly. So again, I think this is the drive right after the interception. Again, 12 personnel. Tight end here. Tight end here. Now here they got it to the field like you see most often. You got 2 receivers here. You got 2 out of the box there. 4 down linemen. 3 backers, the corner. So there's probably a safety in the middle of the field. Again, look at this. So they kind of figured out that this was going to be the strength for them. Would be this 3 receiver side is where ECU is going to call the strength, right? So ECU is an over front team. So an over front means, so you're 4 down, 4-3, 4-2, whatever you want your box to be, doesn't matter. But they have a 1 tech to the weak side. So he's the 1 tech, which is between the center and guard. So he's right between the center and the left guard. And they have a 3 tech, which will be between the guard and tackle. And then end will be outside the tight end. He'll be outside the tight end there. So you see with the double tight and them staying in the over front, there's a big bubble created right there to the 1 technique side. So that's something interesting. You just get, just on formation, understanding how they line up, you created a big bubble right here. There's basically 2 open gaps right there. And then you're going to run quarterback counter. So here's a little different. So you're running to the 1 tech side. So down blocks are always preferential. Down block the left guard, the right guard. Since he's between the guard and tackle, he's going to down block. So now your pullers are going to be your center and your tackle. You arc the tight end. The center kicks out. You arc the tight end for the corner. Your left tackle can go right to the second level. And now you've added backfield action because it's quarterback counter. So the back's going to come across here. He gets this linebacker to bite. He's kind of biting. He sees it, but the tackle is going to swallow him. The pulling tackle is going to swallow that guy up. And then, again, you get this dude in some space, and he's very fast.
God, it's...
It takes out the security guard.
He almost smokes the security guard at the end there, too. So, again, this is just like, this is how you're going to play it. This is really tough to play like this. And it's something I don't think they were ready for, and they didn't really have an answer for it, especially with the tight end arcing.
That is some excellent blocking and just the line movement.
And these guys, both the ends are, I think that's the heavy pass rush guy that we talked about. He's the guy you got to worry about. Mm-hmm. But he sees this tight end leave. He's probably thinking pass, so he flies upfield and makes himself easy to kick out right here. Easy to kick out. Really good job on the down blocks, and then he's able to make a play. And then you got a good angle on him just because, look where I'm coming from. This is who I'm coming to get. I just have to make sure he doesn't get past here. So I got a good angle, and since they're running to the weak side, I don't have anybody on top of me to run through. I don't have any traffic to run through. So again, understanding where they're going to line up to your strength, where they're calling your strength, which maybe they found out when they went formation in the boundary earlier. Okay, they're always going to call this 3 receiver side the strength. Well, now I know I'm going to get this one technique backside, so it's an easy opportunity for my tackle to get the second level. He does a great job up front, and then you get him a lot of space, and he can move. Then he smokes the poor security guard. So again,
And Wilcox almost suplexes him too. Holy shit!
Yeah, he's the first guy to gas up the guy with the touchdown.
what's a lot of fun to watch about Wilcox is this kind of stuff. But yeah, he almost like belly to bellies him into oblivion. But just kind of watching, even in the BYU, I remember watching the BYU game when McLeod fumbled, just that one that slipped out of his hands. Wilcox was talking the whole time, like, hey, man, you could see him just, kind of encouraging him right after that play. Hey, don't worry about it, all that kind of stuff. So being really encouraging for the younger guys, he's setting a really good example, I think, for what they're hoping the program is and stays like when guys like him graduate. So there's another big play. This is right before the half. So McLeod hurts his ankle. Legitimately is hurt after running out of bounds. They said he probably could have played the second half if it was a close game, but it wasn't. And then Evans gets hit in the head, so he's out. So now we're on to Rigel, which I know Steeg was excited about.
Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk. Rigel Hive.
So now this is kind of the same. One of the coaches I used to work for used to always talk about, he would say same socks, different box, because he said he grew up poor. Christmas, he would basically get all the same stuff. It just come in a different box. So he got the same thing over and over, but it looked different. So this is basically same socks, different box right here. It's this play where I'm inviting him upfield. I'm pulling the tackle. And I'm going to jet sweep here to hold the end. And I might get some play out of this back end too. So jet sweep right there. Holds him enough. Jet sweep fake holds him enough. You can see the play you're getting out of the linebacker, the play you're getting out of the safety. And you're actually just handing it back to Cronkite. We get a good down block here, the guy who's inside. So this is something that they wouldn't have been able to do, I don't think, earlier in the year. So he tries to jump inside here. He just takes him down inside. Instead of just trying to run into this pile of bodies here. Right? Watch him adjust his path. He adjusts his path outside to where this guy's waiting, and then he smokes him, and now you don't have anybody left over there. So instead of running that body, he adjusts his path, gets him, and now Cronkite could have stayed in the hole, but he makes a great cut. Makes a safety miss, gets in the end zone.
It's just the players look like they're actually, I know we're harping on it over and over again. It looks like the plays are being executed properly. They're able to kind of decipher what's going on in the play as the plays are happening instead of just saying like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like a field thing. It takes time. That's what early in the year we were kind of cautioning not to get too flustered and too upset with how poorly it was going, just based on reputation. Coach Darveau is a very reputable offensive line coach. So you kind of thought it was going to get better, and it's just something that takes time. And then this guy's just been running the ball like an animal the last month. He's unbelievable. That helps too. Mm-hmm. He looks different. To me, he looks different than he did earlier in the year. I don't know if that's just because the blocking has improved quite a bit, but he looks fast. I think he looks faster. He looks healthier. I don't know what was going on with him earlier in the year. Could have been just indecision because it's all new for him too, but he looks unbelievable lately.
It's night and day improvement. I mean, this looks very confident. I know it's an ECU front probably can be pushed around fairly easy, but
now coming into the game now. Kind of watching them, they gave up a lot of explosive runs. They showed the ability to give up explosive runs, and that's what I put in my preview last week. That they were like 54th in yards per rush. They were holding people under. There's like 3.3 yards a rush, which is not
wow.
bad, pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't know what USF ended up with as yards per rush, but I know it was a lot more than 3.3. So they'd played some pretty decent teams, but they were holding people. It was 3.3 yards a rush, so that was pretty respectable. So not like it wasn't like UConn, who's just terrible at kind of everything. It was they weren't bad rush defense, and you went in there and ran all over them. So while I don't think they're great talent-wise, as not as good as the teams you're going to see, but they were doing a pretty good job up to this point against the run. So you kind of just went in there and just ran the ball down their throat. So that's encouraging.
And the beauty here is several formations. I mean, that had a reverse involved. There's a lot of play action. I mean, there's a lot of different. It's not like you're just doing one play and it's working.
Yes.
A halfback dive.
Well, yeah, but
For example,
you're significant. You're legitimately confusing them. At least that's what it looks like. And
yes, everything. It's that's what my favorite stuff to see. What has thought behind it? Now this one here, there's not a lot of scheme to this one. It's 3rd and 9. You're up by 25. But I would put this on there because I think this is another great play. I believe if I'm on the right one. By St. Felix. It's 3rd and 9. Just give your guy a shot. Good ball here, too. But again, go up in traffic. Make a play. That's a big 3rd down. I think this is the drive. They got the ball on like their 9-yard line to start this drive. So here's a 3rd and 9 from the 29. You got to, if you don't convert here, you got to punt. They're in pretty decent field position. But right here, great play. And a really good throw by Steeg's boy right here.
Big Rigel fan.
Got a cannon. But that's another thing. Just keep getting St. Felix's confidence back up. I mean, that was a great catch in traffic.
Yep. So I just put this on there. There's not much scheme to it. It's just a great, when the guys do something. I don't know if anybody sees these or not, but when they do something good, you kind of want to show kind of the improvement. Earlier this year, he was dropping these balls, and now this game, he had a great game, and he's really improved as the season's going on.
It's kind of off frame, but I think this play's kind of made happen because I think right there at the end you can kind of see the safety coming over. I feel like any safety that's actually playing center field might actually have a good shot at intercepting that, but I think he might be spying Wilcox to give support over the top in case Wilcox runs deep. So again,
he's
two
already
guys covered Wilcox.
He's not. He's playing to the field, and then you also got a tight end here. But yeah, he's playing to Wilcox. And so when you win one-on-one matchup, that's been the problem earlier in the year. Okay, so they're getting guys one-on-one matchups, but they're not winning. Well, they were winning on Saturday, and this is kind of what happens when you win. When you win those one-on-one matchups, that's what happens.
Coach Strong challenged them, and they, answered the call.
This is one I just want to put on there because this is an unbelievable run. This is
That-
another
that-
one. Some of these cuts are insane. This one coming up.
Right there was like, eyes in the back of his head. Did he see the guy behind him, or was he trying to juke out the guy in front of him? Because that was just nuts.
Yeah, so this is one I just put on there just because I was kind of scrolling through. Again, you get this. I mean, we can look at this. You get him releasing, and you get play by this guy. It takes him out of the play. But this is mostly just an individual. I mean, the ability to just cut and then get back going to like close to full speed. I mean, he looks totally different, and I don't know if it's just he's more comfortable or what, but he looks great this last 4 or 5 games. He's looked unbelievable. And if you get him playing like that the rest of the, if you get him like playing like that the rest of the year, you got some chances to pull an upset or two maybe.
I really wish we were not playing the 4
They're killing
toughest games in the year.
Yeah.
I mean, counterpoint with all the improvement that's happening, that's actually probably the best.
Yeah, but
That if you got them early on and you're still trying to figure out these concepts.
In the sense of fairness, the offensive line does create a hole here. He just makes a really good cut to get into it. But they did something. But I'd say this is mostly an individual play.
I mean, 4 broken tackles? 2 guys ran into each other?
Yeah, this. I think if you look closely to here, you'll see this guy's jock strap because he got juked out of it.
Ooh, goodness.
So, yeah. So that was just another individual play. So this is the, I believe this is the Rigel touchdown here. Again, here's Wilcox. Flat. So it's pretty much the same concept they scored on earlier. Same idea. Crosser. Post behind the crosser. Then I'm not sure if he has a go or the guy earlier converted it, but so this is a little bit different. So again, you got the tight end nub, which is something a little bit different, but we've talked about its effectiveness in the past. But you're hoping you're going here first. He jumps that. I'm looking for the crosser. Well, now if he takes the crosser, so you can kind of watch Rigel's eyes here. If you can watch his eyes, you'll see it. If that guy takes a crosser, then I have the post coming behind that. So I'm kind of looking here to there to there. So shallow. So you see his eyes right here. He's kind of looking to the corner. Corner starts to come up. So now I'm looking at the deep crosser. Safety takes it. I step up. And I'll let this one play full speed for you. And just throw a laser beam to the back of the end zone.
Got a freaking cannon, man.
He's not afraid to throw it 100 miles an hour either. So, all right, so here it is. Let's full speed. You can see his eyes get through the progression. And then not a devastating block by, I believe, was that Kelly Joyner? But a good enough block right there on a blitzer. And then a great job stepping up in the pocket.
I mean, Kelly Joyner weighs like 110 pounds, so.
That's a great block by
Yeah.
So right here, good job picking up, and then he sees it and does a great job. I mean, this is all you got to get. Just get a piece of him, give the quarterback a chance.
To push him out.
He steps up and a corks from the back of the end zone. So this is the one. This is kind of similar. This is not too dissimilar to the one they had last week against Navy that we talked about in the film room. This is a concept they must like down in the red zone because it does give you some answers to every coverage. But this is the one where he had the crosser to McDoom. He didn't take it. McLeod, he was kind of just, instead of running him on an out, they ran him on like a curl. So it's the same idea, holding this guy. He had the deep crosser, he didn't take it, and then he had Clairvaux on the post on the backside. He didn't take either one. You saw in the first half, he did a great job with the concept, so he must have felt more confident this week. And then Rigel does a good job with it here. Just to get into the third guy. And then almost throwing it through his chest in the back of the end zone. So,
and that's a guy Bulls fans like to see healthy, Terrence Horn. You have
yes.
2 kickoff return for touchdowns.
Yes, if you're looking for more explosiveness, there's a guy you want to see on the field more.
It's just vast improvement across the board. This seems like now we're actually seeing that consistent improvement across the board from, the players getting more comfortable with the play calling to the players actually executing the plays to the actual play itself instead of just going to the spot.
I think the coaches I think one thing from the Wisconsin game is, and we've kind of talked about it, is like, do you know kind of what you are coming out of that game? Because the toughest thing going into the season is knowing what you are. Then you play Wisconsin, who's really good. And then do you know what you are after that game? I feel like they were still kind of like, I don't know. Is that because of them or is that because of us? So I think, and you kind of mentioned that. So it's kind of I think everybody's kind of on the same page now.
Mm-hmm. And you're seeing the various formations and what Bell wants to do with that offense. Also knowing your personnel coming in. I mean, switching up the offensive line, putting Atterbury and Jennings back in their natural position seems to help, and they're just getting these concepts. I mean, just in these film rooms, so let alone feeling better in practice, playing better.
Yeah.
It's about.
I think Atterbury made the team of the week on, what is it, Pro Football Focus or whatever. He made the team of the conference team of the week. So I mean, that's something that after the first couple games, I'm sure not many people would have thought was coming, but he's done a really good job bouncing back from a tough start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean across the board, they're all doing so well, and I think you said it best after which game was it? I think it's the SMU game. We might have found ourselves in an accidental rebuild year, but yeah. I think I mean, the season's not over. Obviously, 4 games left. Toughest 4 games of the year. We might be able to squeak one game out of this. Bowl game, not likely unless the stars really align. But the consistent improvement from the offense, coupled with the fact that the defense looks like, from the secondary all the way down to the defensive line, looks like there's a healthy amount of depth, a lot of really good play calling. I think.
Yeah, and they're not.
I don't want to look ahead. Yeah. But
they're not just lining up and like calling base defense either. It's not like they're just like, all right, they're doing some cool stuff on that side of the ball too. And I hope we don't show them as much because they kind of just, for a lot of times they do their job and there's not as many splash plays. It's not super exciting to watch like perfect, at least I don't think for most people, to watch perfect gap soundness on defense. Like everybody filled their gap. Isn't that great? There's a 3-yard run. That doesn't like really excite people too much, I don't think.
Yeah.
Some people get really excited by that, but yeah, I don't think most people would. But
Those are the same people that get excited about Army Navy.
Yeah, my brother. So like you can see, like they're doing some really cool schemes, especially like the Reeves interception and some of the blitz stuff they've done this year. They're doing some pretty cool stuff on that side of the ball too. So I'm always happy when we can highlight stuff they're doing too.
I think Underdog Dynasty had a piece about the AAC by the numbers, and they said, and I quote, USF has a really odd amount of turnovers produced for a team that's 500, and I think that's testament to
Part of it was that 8 in that one game. That one game with 8 was that's helped.
It really helped.
Yeah. But they produce them every game.
Did they get one in the Wisconsin game? Yeah, they did. They got
a fumble.
Yeah, so they produced a turnover in every single game, which certainly helps steal some points off the board if we end up in a close game.
Yeah. So
I mean, here's the thing with a whole new offensive staff, we kind of knew coming into it that Kerwin's offense takes a little bit to kind of master and get into. So we knew year one was going to be a little rough. Seeing this vast improvement, especially coming off of last year where we went a Phantom 7-0 and saw zero improvement over the last half of the season. This is actually really refreshing and nice to see, especially in these games that are, blowout victories that they're winning against bad teams or, sub 500 teams. They're at least handling them and still doing different things with different personnel as opposed to kind of sandbagging. They're still going out there, and we're seeing it, using the 12 personnel, which is, it might be interesting to go back to the first half of the year if they used a lot of that, or if that's something that... They started
using it, I think, they started using it a ton, I think, or more in UConn. Was kind of when because Mathis wasn't even on the 2 deep for a while, for the first 2 or 3 games. Because I remember seeing him because I was kind of looking at talent, and he's one of the highest rated recruits on the roster. I think he was a transfer, though, right?
Yeah, he transferred from Ole Miss during that
yeah. But I think star rating, like composite star rating, he's number 2 to Barnett on the team. So I remember thinking, where's this guy? I mean, what's going on with him? Is he just not panning out? And then he started getting more run. I think SMU he might even got some, but UConn is when they really started to go use him a little bit more. And then since then, they started to kind of build on that. And now I think they spent a lot of time here in 12 personnel. So that might be something maybe they kind of found maybe what their best personnel grouping is with this group, especially with no Johnny Ford.
Absolutely. And Vito, to your point, if we think back to the 8th game of the season last year, that Houston game, where basically the only reason why we scored points that game was because of magic and bullshittery, and then took a nosedive the rest of the season. I don't think we're going to see a nosedive the rest of the season. I think, will we get demolished by someone within the next 4 games? Probably. But I can't see this team giving up, quitting, or, getting shut out like they did against Wisconsin. You saw it last year, but now it's, now there's so much just juice in the tank for them that I don't think we're in bad shape right now. I think the future looks really, really bright for the team.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys playing are young too. I mean, that's kind of to your point. A lot of the guys that are making plays are younger guys. You have Wilcox and Cronkite out there, but beyond that, it's a lot of young dudes.
it's a huge testament to the offensive staff to keep it going and trying new things, trying new schemes. I mean, like you said, just finding, hey, maybe this isn't something. I mean, you know more about Kerwin and what he wants to do. Did he use a lot of 12 personnel? Is that two tight end sets?
When I played this before, he kind of does whatever. But when I played for him, we were a lot of two back, one tight end, two receivers, one tight end, three receivers. So 11 personnel and 21 personnel. We didn't have two good tight ends. We were a small school, so we didn't have like two really good tight ends. So we didn't really spend a lot of time with that. But he kind of will find kind of whatever his best grouping is. And then the next year, they were a lot more like 11 and 10 personnel because they had a little bit more speed receiver. And, then I've seen it. He's kind of transitioned through kind of all kinds of different personnel groupings. I think he kind of will run whatever fits his personnel because his scheme is pretty diverse. It's not like, tight ends only run these routes. Everybody kind of runs everything. So he can mix whatever he wants to do with any personnel grouping. And then, like he's talked about, he can go more to a spread style, which involves more RPO, more that kind of stuff, more read-based stuff, or he can go more pro style, where it's more drop-back play action. And it just kind of depends on what his guys are comfortable with, too. I mean, that could be part of it, too. He kind of understands where Jordan is more comfortable, what concept he's more comfortable with. I mean, even in high school, he'd bring us in. He's like, okay, what do you guys like third downs? What do you like here? Do you like this? Do you not like that? And he'd kind of just tailor his game plan around what we liked. So I'm sure he's kind of getting more comfortable with the players.
And see, like all smiles fitting scheme to player, or what you have. I think it's a huge breath of fresh air in what we like to see, and it's nice to be able to see that progression. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's a tough ending stretch, but you don't leave the state of Florida anymore. Three of your toughest games are at home. I mean, anything could happen with the progression that we're seeing, but I think that's the big thing. We still want to see that progression because, I mean, I've honestly loved what I've been seeing from Kerwin and Darveau and the offensive staff. And again, a huge testament to them. And the defense has started playing a little better with more exotic formations, like you were saying.
Yeah. So it's I think they've really improved as the years going on. Like you guys said, that wasn't something that you felt like you were seeing last year. So. And they're kind of able to add more on, and then also kind of tailor it to what they know by now who the players are, who and what they do best. So they're kind of tailoring it to what their guys do best too. So which is always a good sign or a sign of good coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Who does Temple play this week?
I think they have a bye too.
They have a bye. I think this game, and we kind of keep on saying it, where we kind of still don't know how good this team is. We don't really know who they are just because of, cakewalk victories and, overmatched opponents. But I think this Temple game is going to be the telltale sign of how good this team is going to be and how good they're going to be in the future. I mean, Temple's coming off getting manhandled in the third quarter against UCF and getting, ran over the entire way. They gave up, I can't remember, I think it was like 200 yards to Otis Anderson. Obviously, USF's bread and butter right now is that counter and the zone read plays. But, if USF can mimic that success against Temple, who notoriously has a tough front seven, I think my confidence level going into those last couple games is going to change. Even if we lose, but we still put up good yardage, it completely changes the mindset for the rest of the season for them. So I think finally in week 10 or week 9, we're going to know.
After the Temple game, we'll know.
After the Temple game, we're going to know. It's really hard to say that this season is a success when our wins are a battered BYU team, ECU, who we should beat every year, an FCS school, and another FCS school. So
I think it's safe to say that when they get down early and often, this team wants to run the football. So if they can't and they have to start throwing the ball more often, you get down 14, 21 points quick, that's their downfall. But if they can get some rhythm going and at least keep pace, they could stay in the game. That defense can create turnovers, and the offense, if it wants to do it, it can stay on script. Then it can do what it needs to do. But it'll be interesting to see against a team with a winning record what they can do. in that scenario. Hopefully they don't get down early again, because that seems to be kind of the panic button in that sense. When they start getting down 2 or 3 scores, then what happens?
Yeah. What was nice to see was that is true. That once you get down a few scores, it's tough to come back. But what was nice to see is how they responded to, especially what I heard about last year, how they responded to giving up the first play of the game. Everyone's talking about how important this game is. Opening kickoff goes back for a touchdown. We had the watch party, and there was like, oh God, here we go. You can kind of tell the mood was like, oh Lord, here we go. It's ready for a blowout. And then offense came out and put together a long drive and scored, tied it up, and it was like, whatever, no problem. So that was nice to see. It wasn't a panic.
Luckily, with special team score, you don't go. It doesn't take you off script technically quite yet.
Yeah. No, I packed it in. I called for tarbacking, like right there.
God. Patience, my friend. Patience.
It was good to see that. It was good to see them bounce back just immediately. Be like, okay, no big deal, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think.
So, keep going.
No, I think I was gonna say probably what you're about to say. I think we're wrapping it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say that concludes another TDS Film Room. I personally really like this one. It was really nice to analyze a really solid win with great plays on both sides of the ball. I mean, using 3 quarterbacks, getting the running game going. It felt like we got our livelihood back, which is what I would feel like if I went to Matrix Hormones, 813-333-2226. Matrix Hormones, making you feel younger and better again. Welcome to Matrix Hormones. Whether you suffer from low libido, fatigue, mood swings, or muscle loss, your symptoms won't go away on their own. Our clinic tailors all of our treatments to specifically meet your needs, blood work, and body type. Don't settle for a one-size-fits-all treatment. Plan other clinics offer. When it comes to your health, you deserve a plan designed to work for you, just like you deserve an offensive coordinator that designs his scheme to the players. Matrix Hormones. Scene.
Beautiful.
All right.
Every fan. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls. Also just want to say thanks to everyone who came to the TDS Watch Party. In case you didn't know, TDS Watch Party is 2-0, so we clearly need to have more. But the turnout was fantastic. Thanks for coming to Beefs. The amount of support that we get is pretty fantastic. I know that some of us couldn't be there, but Seth was there. So how did you feel kind of meeting everybody and seeing it during the game?
It was cool. It was a really big turnout, really rowdy group, and luckily we picked a good game for it. So it's kind of nice to see some people and talk with some of them. But yeah, it was a good game to choose for that watch party.
And men's basketball coach Brian Gregory even made an appearance, which is pretty remarkable. And hey, you never know, the next watch party might be for a men's basketball game. So again, thank you so much, and we'll keep doing it. Thanks.